In the 2000s, a new kind of energy shook up American R&B. A young girl from Atlanta, slender, determined, and with a stage presence far beyond her years, appeared on screen like a revelation. Her name was Ciara Princess Harris. Within months, she went from high school student to superstar. At just 19, she was dominating clubs, radio, and the charts. But before becoming the princess of Crunk&B, Ciara was a military kid, raised between bases and constant moves. She was born in Austin, Texas. Her father was a sergeant in the Army. Her mother served in the Air Force. The constant relocations built discipline, but left her without a real sense of home. She dreamed of fashion and dance, not knowing yet if those passions could become a career. At 14, she joined a girl group called Hearsay. The adventure quickly fell apart, torn by ego clashes and tension. That's when Ciara realized she wanted to carve her own path. One evening, watching Destiny's Child on television, something clicked. She wanted to sing, dance, shine, just like the women she saw on that stage. Her manager, Anthony Tate, encouraged her to follow that intuition. Inspired by Janet Jackson, Ciara began writing, composing, and rehearsing tirelessly. Her dedication caught the attention of Atlanta producer Jazz Fa, a respected figure in the music scene. Impressed by the 17-year-old's discipline and charisma, he signed her to his label, Shonuff Records, and introduced her to L.A. Reid, the head of LaFace Records. The audition was a success. Ciara landed her first record deal. Before becoming a household name, she wrote songs for other artists, including Blue Cantrell and Fantasia Barrino. At the time, she was still a student at Riverdale High School. BET cameras filmed her at her prom, where she confidently declared, "I see myself with a #1 hit. I want my music to touch the whole world." It wasn't an empty promise. The following year, she entered the studio with Jazz Fa, Sean Garrett, and Lil Jon. From that collaboration came Goodies, a song that would change her life. The track flipped the club scene upside down. At a time when hits glorified seduction, Ciara took a different angle. She embodied the girl in control, the one who couldn't be owned. In her words, "Just because you're rolling in a Bentley doesn't mean you can have what I got." The label hesitated. The song was considered too bold, too different. Ciara stood her ground, convinced people would understand, and she was right. When Goodies dropped, it exploded. The track stayed at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 weeks, a record for a debut female artist since the late 1970s. The song crossed the Atlantic, climbing charts across Europe and Asia. The Benny Boom-directed video became iconic. Ciara showcased her signature moves, clean, precise, impossibly flexible. That Matrix backbend instantly went viral. She burst into tears the first time she heard her song on the radio, sitting in her old SUV. Within weeks, she had gone from anonymity to global fame. Her debut album, also titled Goodies, entered the Billboard Top 3, selling 124,000 copies in its first week. The press fell in love with this grounded, hardworking young woman who seemed to know exactly who she was. Hits followed. One two-step featuring Missy Elliott became an anthem. Oh, with Ludacris cemented her status. The media dubbed her the princess of Crunk&B. At just 19, she was thriving in a genre dominated by men. Her stage presence was unmatched, raw energy, precision, confidence. Comparisons poured in. Some saw her as Janet Jackson's heir. Others, a female version of Usher. But Ciara didn't want to be compared. She wanted to be recognized. Every performance solidified her identity. Crisp choreography, quiet confidence, a gaze that commanded the camera. By 2005, she was everywhere: MTV, the Soul Train Awards, magazine covers. She earned her first Grammy nominations and took home her first major award. The once ordinary military kid had become one of R&B's defining faces. But behind the trophies and the tours, pressure was building. Her label wanted her to stay on the same trajectory. The public demanded more. Ciara began to feel that success, as dazzling as it was, came at a cost. What no one knew was that the next chapter of her story would be far more complicated. After 2 triumphant albums, Ciara seemed untouchable. Yet behind the scenes, cracks were forming. In 2008, she began working on her 3rd album. Ciara wanted to evolve, to experiment with a bolder, futuristic sound. She envisioned Fantasy Ride, a conceptual project featuring her animated alter ego, Super C, a symbol of confidence and freedom. But her label didn't share the vision. They wanted club-ready singles, catchy hooks, the same formula that had worked before. Ciara felt trapped. The first single, Go Girl featuring T-Pain, was released against her wishes. Though the video was visually striking, the song failed to take off. She knew it wasn't the right direction. Still, she had recorded powerful tracks like High Price with Ludacris, produced by The Dream and Tricky Stewart, the same duo behind Umbrella and Single Ladies. Those producers believed the song could redefine her career. The label rejected it. The moment slipped away. Then came more trouble. Songs from Fantasy Ride leaked online before the album's release. Unfinished versions spread across blogs, killing the excitement. The album debuted in Billboard's top 3 but quickly dropped off. Only one song broke through, Love, Sex, Magic, her duet with Justin Timberlake. It became a global hit but divided audiences. R&B fans thought it was too pop. Pop audiences thought it was still too urban. Ciara was stuck between worlds. That same year, she posed for Vibe magazine. The shoot was supposed to be artistic, but the final cover showed her completely nude, without her consent. Ciara immediately spoke out, saying she hadn't been naked during the shoot. The damage was done. The image caused a scandal. Tabloids ran wild, and she realized even her image was no longer hers to control. Ironically, Billboard named her Woman of the Year in 2008. Behind the scenes, though, she was clashing with her team, feeling stripped of creative control. Gossip blogs like Media Takeout and Sandra Rose fueled endless rumors. In 2010, she attempted a return to form with Basic Instinct. The goal? To reclaim the raw power of goodies. The first single, Ride, featuring Ludacris, captivated fans with its sensual choreography, but BET refused to air the video, calling it too explicit. Ciara offered a censored version. The network stayed silent. The video went viral, but the lack of media support hurt the release. Follow-up singles Speechless and Gimme Dat faced similar challenges. Ciara financed her own videos and promotion, but without her label's backing, nothing stuck. When Basic Instinct finally dropped in December 2010, it went largely unnoticed. For the first time, Ciara felt her work vanish without a sound. Exhausted, she decided to speak out. In an open letter, she clarified that she hadn't been dropped. She had chosen to leave her label. She described her frustrations, refusals, lack of support, constant disagreements. I paid for my videos, my promo, and they still refuse to back me, she wrote. I want to work with people who understand me. It was a turning point. Ciara left Jive Records, determined to reclaim her artistic freedom. Soon after, she reunited with her first mentor, L.A. Reid, now head of Epic Records. She hoped for a fresh start. Together, they planned a new album called One Woman Army. But history repeated itself. Early singles Sweat with 2 Chainz, Sorry, and Got Me Good failed to make an impact. The project was delayed, then scrapped. Despite setbacks, Ciara kept going. In 2013, she released a self-titled album, Ciara. It was meant to mark a new chapter, and for a while it did. The single Body Party, produced by Michael Made It and sampling Ghost Town DJs, became a major hit. Ciara was dating rapper Future at the time, and their chemistry charmed fans. The song's sensual, heartfelt video revived her image as a confident woman in love. Body Party climbed the charts, and the album reached number 2 on the Billboard 200. For the first time in years, she had momentum again. Fans called it a comeback, but the light didn't last. Just months after their son was born, cheating rumors surfaced. Future was accused of infidelity. Tabloids pounced, social media exploded. The breakup was public, messy, and painful. Ciara stepped away from the spotlight for a while. In 2015, she returned with Jackie, an album dedicated to her mother. It symbolized growth and healing. The single I Bet, a heartfelt message to Future, resonated deeply but didn't change her commercial fortunes. Sales were modest, promotions scattered. In a decade, Ciara had gone from the top to an uncertain middle ground, too pop for some, too R&B for others. Her image blurred, and the industry no longer knew where to place her. Between label conflicts, commercial disappointments, and personal wounds, her career seemed on the verge of fading out. Yet what no one knew was that Ciara was far from finished. By 2016, after a decade of turbulence, Ciara stood at a crossroads. She had endured a public breakup, commercial struggles, and industry battles. Many assumed she had disappeared. But she was about to be reborn, not as a star chasing fame, but as a woman taking back her life. Around this time, she met NFL superstar Russell Wilson at a charity event. Their connection was immediate. No drama, no spectacle, just shared values, faith, family, respect. Their decision to wait until marriage drew attention, some mocked them, others admired them. For Ciara, it was a choice rooted in peace. Russell became more than a partner. He was her anchor in a world she'd long struggled to control. While Future lashed out online, Ciara stayed silent. But when his words crossed into defamation, she acted. In 2016, she filed a $15 million lawsuit for libel. The case settled privately before her wedding to Russell, marking a calm new chapter. That stability changed everything. Ciara regained confidence and slowly reconnected with her creativity. Encouraged by her husband, she returned to music on her own terms. No pressure, no formulas. She wanted to create freely again. In 2018, she released Level Up, a simple, upbeat, liberating anthem. It wasn't just a song, it was a statement. She sang about growth, evolution, rebirth. Level Up went viral within days. The Level Up challenge flooded TikTok and Instagram. Celebrities, dancers, fans everywhere joined in. Ciara was once again a symbol, effortlessly. The track topped iTunes and went double platinum. But this time, she wasn't chasing hits, she was building legacy. She founded her own company, Beauty Marks Entertainment, an independent label and production house. For the first time, she owned her masters, chose her visuals, and controlled her image. Under this banner, she released the album Beauty Marks in 2019. That record was different. It didn't chase trends, it told a story. Ciara sang about love, faith, and healing. In her videos, she showed her marriage, motherhood, and everyday life. She was no longer the girl from Goodies or Ride. She was a grown woman, sharing her truth. The album didn't dominate the charts, but it found its audience. Critics praised its honesty. She followed with singles like Dose and Greatest Love, continuing to explore freely. In 2023, she dropped the CCEP, featuring major collaborations, Chris Brown on How We Roll and Lil Baby on Forever. How We Roll went viral on TikTok, proving that even after 20 years, Ciara remained relevant. Yet perhaps her biggest success came outside music. With Russell, she launched the House of LRNC, an inclusive, sustainable fashion brand. Together, they created a fragrance line, RNC, and a production company, Why Not You Productions. Ciara became a fixture at the Met Gala, fashion weeks, and major sports events. She sang the national anthem at NFL games and partnered with global brands. Over time, she transformed her image. She wasn't just a performer anymore. She was a businesswoman, a respected public figure, a brand of her own. She managed to turn her name into an empire without losing her authenticity. Today, nearly 20 years after her debut, Ciara is preparing to release a new album titled CC, her first full project in 6 years. The anticipation is high, but she has nothing left to prove. Her journey has been one of cycles, rise, fall, rebirth, and that's what makes her unique. Ciara has known triumphs and betrayals, failures and comebacks, ridicule and applause. She has survived an industry that glorifies young women only to erase them as they age. But she refused to disappear. Instead of chasing her past glory, she redefined it. Today, she's no longer trying to be the princess of Crunk&B. She has become something else entirely, a free woman who owns her art, her image, and her life. Ciara no longer represents just an era. She embodies resilience, strategy, and the quiet elegance of a woman who refused to be replaced.